fact checkers like Meta does?
Mr. Chair, ang partner po namin sa fact-checking is yung AFP po, yung Agence France, yung AFP po.
So only one.
Opo.
The reason why I'm asking this, Mr. Chair, unlike TikTok, Meta has collaborated with independent third-party fact checkers, which were certified by International Fact-Checking Network, IFCN. IFCN certified organizations include Verifiles, Press One, Agence France Presse, kagaya na sinabi mo, Rappler, Minda News, and ABS-CBN. Ito yung problema, Mr. Chair. Yung iba kasing mga fact checkers, mga napopoliticize eh. Kamukha ng ABS-CBN, palagi na lang akong binabanatan yan dahil sa nangyari sa hindi pagkaka-renew ng kanilang franchise back in 2020. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin sila makamove on. So kung, I'm sorry, Yusek Ilagan, alam kong malaki rin ang kaugnayan mo sa ABS-CBN, but that's what the 18th Congress judgment was. On account of several violations na hanggang ngayon ayaw nilang aminin. But so, kung meron kayong fact checker na hindi naman siya talagang magiging neutral and it cannot be as objective as may it wants to be. Ito yung nagiging problema natin, Mr. Sana po, yung mga fact checker sana ay maging impartial, maging objective to the kind of obligation that they have professed to undertake. Tama-tama naman yung sinabi ni Ms. Mendoza, Mr. Chair. Although nakakalungkot, ay hindi pa talaga natin magagawa ang ilan sa mga bagay na binanggit niya. Pero totoo lahat, dapat ganun ang gawin natin. But as we speak, talagang ideally, hindi pa rin natin magagawa. So sa ngayon, ay aminin man natin at hindi, talagang nandyan pa rin ang mga fake news. At sana madaliin nga natin, sa dami nating nag-uusap ngayon, kung magawa nating mapadali, halimbawa, in 2 weeks time, medyo nakapag-take down tayo ng mas marami-rami, Mr. Chair. Unti-unti lang, pero pagdating ng araw siguro, napugnaw na nating lahat, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Salamat po, Senator Marcoleta. Miss Ellen Tordesillas, ma'am. Meron po kayong position paper na nais ninyong ilahad?
Submit po namin later, pero meron lang ako konti.
Ilalahad niyo po. Sige po, ilahad niyo po.
Yung organisasyon po namin, yung Verifiles, ay isang non-profit media organization founded in 2008 na nagsusulong ng kahusayan sa pamamahayag. Ang isang kategorya ng journalism na aming sinusulong ay yung fact-checking na marami na akong masabi kanina tungkol sa fact-checking. Ang problema kasi ng disinformation ay napakalawak, napakalalim at napaka-komplikado. Sinabi kanina ni Yusek Mon Ilagan na ang kailangan talaga dito sa paglaban sa disinformation ay whole of society approach. Hindi lang nga whole nation approach, whole of society. Tama po 'yun, Simula natin sa bahay, Mahalaga kasi yung value system. Like sa mga bahay ba natin, nabibigyan ba natin ng premium ang truthfulness? Yun ang simula. Tapos sunod pa yung ating school system, yung ating sa school system ba natin, pinapairal ba natin ang critical thinking? Dapat kasi para malabanan mo yung disinformasyon, dapat alam mo dapat pag may nakita kang hindi truthful, na hindi totoo, dapat umaandar na yung yung alert system mo. So dapat malakas yung ating value system, ganon. So sa ano sa ganyan ang dapat ang ano natin, hindi lang ang battlefield lang kasi hindi lang sa ano yan hindi lang sa platform. So dapat yun yan yung ano siguro yung batas na yung 3 batas na nakahain ngayon ay pwedeng simula yun, gano'n. Sa usapang namang AI, ang ano namin sa Verafiles is that we approach it with caution. We see AI. I mean, we are not afraid that AI will render us useless. We human beings as useless, no? Especially kaming journalists. Hindi kami nagwo-worry na magiging obsolete kami with the advent of AI. We see AI as a tool that we can use to enhance our role as truth tellers. So as journalists, we at Verafiles are committed to seeking and telling the truth. We believe in accountability journalism, which is essential to a functioning democracy. Yun. Salamat po.
Salamat po sa inyong pahayag, Miss Ellen. Totoo nga po yan, lahat po ay dapat magsama-sama, ang academe, ang simbahan siguro, lahat ng sectors. Ngunit hindi rin natin talaga may tatanggi na kapag ka lumabas talaga yung fake news, mabubulaga ka talaga eh. Kahit sandali lang, mapapaniwala ka eh. Yun ang ina-avoid natin. Ang gagaling talaga eh. Isipin nyo na lang. Lalo na ngayon po, yung AI talagang hindi mo madidistingue. Magtatanong ka pa eh. Gagamit ka pa ng application kung totoo nga o hindi. Nakita nyo yung inaabutan ako ng Red Horse ni Pangulong Duterte. Siguro kung wala lang sa dihig si Pangulong Duterte, maraming naipaniwala. At saka kung makikita nila na yung jacket na yun, hindi po ako nagja-jacket ng gano'n na colorful eh. Pero sigurado ako sa 10, mayroong 3 napaniwala doon. Eh siyempre po, kahit nakukunti lang yun, huwag natin silang bibigyan ng puwang na makapanloko ng kapwa natin. Yun po yung ating gustong mangyari. Mr. Chair, binabaka natin yung lumalaganap ng mga fake news araw-araw. Sana naman ay maging madali para sa inyo na makagawa ng kaparaanan kasama ng mga ilang inimbitang mga opisina. Para sa ganun ay hindi masyadong magtagal. Pero ang sinasabi ni Missy ko kanina, palagay ko dapat natin ding pagtuunan ng pansin dahil kung ang Singapore nagawa niya yun, kamukha sa Singapore 2019 pa nagawa na nila yung POPMA. Ito yung Protection from Online Falsehood and Manipulation Act. Pagkatapos noon ay nakagawa pa siya ng Anti-Fake News Law in 2018. Kung nagawa ng Singapore, baka naman yung best practices nila ay hindi man lahat na makuha natin. Halimbawa, 10 yung mga mekanismong nakalatag doon sa mga batas na kanilang ginawa. Yung unang 3 ay makuha man lang natin. Huwag na tayong masyadong magpakabida na makukopya natin kagad. Bagamat ang Pilipino ay mahilig mangopya. Pero naging realistic tayo. Kung nagawa ng Singapore, ba't hindi natin pwedeng gawin? Pare-pareho naman siguro yung level ng technology. Sa ngayon, baka ang ating po kasing pinoproblema yung paglaganap at yung pagbaka sa kanila ay parang parang helpless po tayo eh. Ang bilis po nilang mag-upload ng mga fake news. Katulad po na binabanggit ko kanina yung Gutesa, talagang pinagtiyagaan po namin na kami na yung humanap do sa tao. At nung makita namin, sinabi namin sa kanya na hindi ka rin makakaalpas, yung mahabang kamay ng batas, hahabulin ka rin namin. At dahil doon, tinanggal niya po. Alam po ninyo, pag nakikita nyo, pag tinignan po niya yung account niya, mapapansin nyo, troll po ang ginamit niya kasi puro Vietnamese at mga Arabo po yung yung nandoon eh. Nag-share po lahat, puro Arabic at saka Vietnamese. Sana, kukunti po yung Pilipino eh. Kaya po yung mga fact-checker natin, kung madali, ang dali naman po checkin yun eh. Hindi ko naman po sinasabing lahat po checkin ninyo. Pero kung kayo po ay tumanggap naman ng responsibilidad na maging fact-checker kayo, hindi naman po namin inahangad na lahat po ay ma-fact-check ninyo. Ngunit, kahit na po siguro yung mga unang communicate sa inyo sa pamagitan ng email. Sana po unahin din ninyo sapagkat kaya naman kami nakikipag-coordinate. Gusto po naming makatulong din sa ikasusog po ng lumalaganap na fake news na nakakapag-mislead po sa ating mga kababayan. Importante po na hindi ma-mislead ang ating mga kababayan kahit sa anong paraan, Mr. Chair.
Salamat po, Senator Marcoleta. Okay na po ang inyong position paper? Pwede na po kayong magsabi?
Yes, Your
Ang
Honor.
inyong,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you very much, Senator Marcoleta, for that suggestion po. We'll take that into consideration. Maraming salamat po. Now, just to give the position paper of the PCO, so allow me to read in behalf of my acting secretary, Dave Gomez. Mr. Chair, Senator Robin Padilla, distinguished members of the Senate Committee on Public Information and Mass Media, fellow resource persons, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the Presidential Communications Office, I thank the committee for inviting us to this public hearing on Senate Bills 191, 1441, and 1490. These measures seek to confront the growing menace of fake news and disinformation in our country. All of us witness this information every single day. We have seen how fabricated stories, deep fakes, and fake news can distort public discourse, incite violence, damage reputations, and even hamper government response during calamities and public health emergencies. The damage to institutions and to people's lives is real and escalating. The PCO welcomes the intent behind these bills to protect the Filipino people from deliberate deception while preserving the constitutional guarantee of freedom of expression and of the press. The PCO supports a whole-of-nation approach that combines clear legislation, responsible platform governance, digital literacy, and independent and responsible journalism. The PCO stands ready to work with this committee and all stakeholders to refine these proposals into laws that are effective, proportionate, and fully compliant with our Constitution. We have earlier submitted the PCO's position paper on these bills for the committee's consideration. With the Chair's permission, I would like to highlight and put on record some key points in the PCO's position paper. First, the PCO supports a balanced and holistic approach in addressing fake news, disinformation, and misinformation. The freedom of speech is paramount, but it is neither absolute nor a license that gives immunity to those abuse or misuse it. Legislation must balance penalizing malicious and deliberate dissemination of fake news with legitimate speech, journalistic commentary, satire, dissent, or error made in good faith. As such, it must clearly and narrowly define fake news and disinformation and establish clear evidentiary thresholds. And as the Supreme Court has time and again emphasized, it must not constitute prior restraint. Legislation must also balance punitive measures with constructive measure. While penalties are vital and necessary in curbing abuse and misuse of freedom of expression, public education, media information literacy, transparency, and platform responsibility should form part of a comprehensive long-term solutions. The creation of a Digital Media Integrity Council is also proposed with representation from government and private sector can serve not only as a strong literacy arm but a fact-checking organization. The PCO fully supports Senate Bill 1490 as it strengthens the public trust and promotes ethical digital governance. To address concerns raised by watchdogs, the Senate may consider prohibiting the creation or funding of troll operations and establishing accountability mechanisms for misuse. The law must also clearly distinguish illicit troll operations from legitimate digital engagement by government agencies. This will ensure that government communication is factual and transparent. In conclusion, Mr. Chair, the fight against fake news and disinformation is essential to building a resilient and united Philippines. The PCO stands ready to collaborate with Congress, stakeholders, and these measures. The Philippines can lead in the region as a model for responsible digital governance where truth prevails over deception and citizens' rights to free speech and information are ensured and safeguarded. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat po. Na-miss kita tuloy sa news. Sir, may
Thank you,
tanong
Mr.
lang po ako. Doon po sa council na sinasabi ninyo, meron na po kayong idea kung sino yung bubuo?
Yes, of course, dun sa proposal, Mr. Chair, so we have critical government agencies plus the private sector. The private sector, it also includes the Kapisanan ng Broadcasters ng Pilipinas, the KBP, the Philippine Press Institute, the PRSP, or Public Relations Society of the Philippines, the NPC, the National Press Club, etc. So with government funding plus private sector donations, para ho talagang masasabi po natin whole of society approach po with this.
Ito po ay commission na ito ay under PICO? Under saan niyo po gusto to?
Pwede pong under na rin sa PCO, but of course with collaboration ng private sector groups. So the main purpose of this is, number one, to conduct the literacy campaigns, digital literacy campaigns, Your Honor. And secondly, the fact-checking to combat fake news. Third is develop AI for social media fact-checking and develop alert mechanism when fake news is detected. So those are the possible functions that we have thought about this creation of the Digital Media Integrity Council. Your Honor.
Mr. Chair.
Sige po, Senator Marcoleta.
Mr. Chair, kailan po kaya magkakaroon ng katuparan ito, Yusek Ilagan? Kasi tingnan po ninyo, 55% ng ating mamamayan po ay naniniwala that the problem of fake news on the internet and social media such as Facebook,
Right.
sa Twitter at saka YouTube was serious. 55% po yan. 62% thought that fake news in traditional media, television, radio, and newspapers was serious. 65% find it difficult to determine if news or piece of information they had watched, heard, or read on TV, radio, and social media was fake or wrong. 55% claimed that they frequently saw or encountered fake news in both traditional and social media. So, Mr. Chair, how can we really protect 65% of our kababayan from being purveyors of fake news? 65% po ito. Hindi po niya kaagad makilala o malaman kung peke o hindi. Ito po yung sinasabi natin na nami-mislead po talaga. Hindi lang po sana mo kung 10% lang o 5%. Hindi po natin sinasabi na kung 5% medyo safe na tayo. Pero ito po 65% po eh. Hindi niya ma-distinguish kaagad. Talagang magagaling din po talaga yung nagpapakalat ng fake news. Kaya ang tanong po palagi, kailan po kaya magkakaroon ng katuparan? Dahil kahit ngayon pong nag-uusap tayo, kumakalat pa rin po ang fake news, Mr. Chair.
Napakagandang mungkahi po. Meron lang po akong suggestion kasi kung aantayin po natin yung batas, matagal pa po ito. Hindi po kaya pwede i-request sa ating Pangulo na gumawa na lang siya ng executive order para dyan sa council na yan?
That's a good suggestion, Mr. Chair. So, ang ating po naman talagang Pangulo is really very serious. In fact, gusto niya mga mechanisms po talaga na magawa para labanan ng fake news. And also, I believe...
Teka muna, Yusek, bago mo sagutin niya sa pangalan ng Pangulo, baka mapagalitan ka niya, no? Meron po kasi tayong mga legal framework ngayon. Ang tanong po siguro ganito, no? At present kasi, Mr. Chair, paano natin ini-implement yung existing mechanism natin on fake news? Meron po tayong Republic Act 10951. In particular, Article 154 of the unlawful use of means of publication and unlawful utterances. Yung Article 355 o libel by means of writing or similar means. Yung Republic Act 10175 or Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. Meron po section dyan na sinasabi on cyber libel and computer identity theft. At meron po tayong Republic Act 10173. Ito po yung Data Privacy Act of 2012. Lahat po ng ito nagpe-penalize ng unauthorized processing or disclosure of personal data. In 2020, meron pa tayong 11469 or Bayanihan to Heal as one act included a provision penalizing creation and spreading of fake news about COVID-19. Ang tanong po kasi, Mr. Chair, paano tayo mag-guide? Ano po ba yung missing? Ano pa yung wala dito sa binanggit nating mga existing na batas, mekanismo at regulation para ngayon ay maging effective na ma-address po natin ang paglaganap ng fake news. Dapat yung missing link makuha na po natin. Meron na po tayo eh. Kaya lang, nandyan pa rin po eh. Sa ngayon, hindi po natin mapagbabatayan ng Meta sapagkat kahit may jurisdiction tayo, sabi ng DOJ, parang tali ang kamay natin. So kailangan natin siguro pagsikapan sa magitan ng batas nating nandito ngayon. Hanapin na lang natin, ano ba yung kakulangan pa nitong existidong batas na ito na pagsama-samahan po nating hanapin, i-connect natin. At kung kinakailangan ng executive order na gusto mong request sa ating Pangulo, bago yon sana, tingnan muna natin ano yung missing link dito, Mr. Chair.
Tama po, Senator Marcoleta. Napakagandang mungkahi po niyan. At yan din po yung pinagtalunan namin ni Miss Michiko na ano nga ba yung missing link. Ang amin pong napag-usapan talaga, dapat talaga isang tao, isang account, personal, tapos yung isa, business account niya para hindi po siya nakakagawa ng maraming milagro. Opo. Okay na po. Senator, Attorney Annalyn Taggiling ng National. Ako, ma'am, ikaw pala yun, ha? Yung NTC. Ikaw ang merong, pwede po bang bago kayo, buti na lang, naging babae kasi bala kong awayin talaga to. Opo, ano po ba ang mandato? Yan na lang para mabait ako. Ano po ba ang mandato ng NPC? Bakit parang kulang po yata ang ng ipin ang NPC, ma'am? Kayo po ba'y taga Baguio? O kailian ko pa ito.
Yes,
Sige po,
Mr. Chair.
mag-opposition paper na lang po.
Please allow me to read the executive summary of our position paper. To the Honorable Committee, the National Privacy Commission recognizes the urgent need to address the massive and harmful effects of false and deceptive news or content online. Thus, the need to enact or amend existing laws to specifically respond to the dangers posed by the irresponsible and unlawful use of the Internet. The NPC consistently affirms that privacy, freedom of expression, and public order are not mutually exclusive and are all constitutionally protected interests. Measures that promote social media fairness and algorithmic transparency regulate automated decision-making that could harm people's freedom to choose, result in unfair treatment, or render consent meaningless. The NPC recognizes the intent of these proposed measures, which is mainly to protect the public from misleading and harmful online content, while remaining fully cognizant of constitutionally protected freedoms. The proposed mechanisms such as rectification, takedown, and access blocking orders underscore the importance of prompt and proportionate response to digital harm, provided that these measures will be implemented with due process, clear procedures and standards, and full respect for privacy rights. The NPC emphasizes that the Data Privacy Act remains applicable in the implementation of this proposed act, especially if it involves personal data of individuals. As such, interagency coordination will be essential to ensure that enforcement actions address harmful content without resulting in unnecessary or excessive intrusion into personal data of individuals. The NPC further notes that the Data Privacy Act prescribes corresponding criminal penalties on top of other crimes under existing laws for any unauthorized processing of personal data of individuals. The the DPA, Data Privacy Act, regulates the processing of personal data of individuals. However, it does not generally regulate opinion or speech that have no personal data component. But much fake news or false content online involves use of people's name, images, contact details, health, or other personal data. Thus, the need to comply with the requirements under the Data Privacy Act in processing or handling this personal data. The NPC views these bills as complementary to the Data Privacy Act. The proposed bills strengthen the protection of personal data while reinforcing public trust in digital platforms and in government institutions. In light of these considerations, the National Privacy Commission expresses its full support for the passage of the proposed act as a timely and necessary legislative response to the evolving risk of harmful digital content. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and we will submit our position paper to the Honorable Committee.
Maraming salamat po. Meron lang pong idadagdag si...
Meron lang akong itatanong, Mr. Chair. Yun pong sa algorithmic preference, sabi kanina ng Director Navarro, kailangan siguro yung parameters eh. Sa ngayon kasi hindi natin alam, pagkakaalam ko yung user palagi niyang binuview isang bagay na ito, yung algorithm palagi siyang doon umiikot, di ba? So, paano mo makukontrol talaga yung algorithm kung yung user naman ang nagdi-determine kung ano-ano yung gusto niyang panoorin? Halimbawa, merong isa dyan na palaging gusto niyang pinapanood, yung mukbang, yung kumakain ng kung ano-ano, damo at saka mga hilaw na vegetables. So yung algorithm, puro, pag binuksan niya yung cellphone niya gano'n, puro kumakain ng hilaw na mangga at saka kung ano, nandun. Paano natin papalitan yung mga parameters? Halimbawa, sabi ni Director Navarro, kung ayaw nating umikot doon sa algorithm, palitan natin ang parameters. Halimbawa, when we talk about fake news, pag nakita nating fake news yun, di ba natin dapat tanggalin yung mga parameters na related doon para sa ganun, makabawas-bawas man lang tayo sa paglaganap ng fake news. Paano bang gagawin natin? Kasi tama naman po yung sinasabi ninyo, hindi natin mabalanse ngayon. Paano natin gagawin ng government control, balancing it with free speech? Yun, trabaho ni Yusek Ilagan yun. Nasa government siya, gusto niyang balansin, pero meron namang gusto na ilitaw yung sarili niyang opinion. And kung gagamit po ng algorithm, ito po yung problema ko eh. Can we really control yung algorithm? Kasi kung makokontrol po na yan, ako rin gusto ko pong makontrol ang algorithm. Kasi po yung isang example na gumagamit ng algorithm kung bakit tumataas ang kuryente natin, yung WESM, yung Wholesale Electricity Spot Market. Kung minsan po hindi nila may paliwanag, umaabot sa 17 pesos per kilowatt hour. Hindi po yun ang motibo ng batas eh. Ang motibo ng batas, yung EPIRA, kaya naglagay po tayo ng spot market is to rationalize demand at saka yung production. Pero ang nangyayari po ngayon, pagka tinawagan mo ang Energy Regulatory Commission, wala po, yan po yung algorithm, sabi niya. They do not even know how, they cannot even answer, sino bang nag-audit ng algorithm na yun? And maybe I would ask you, Madam, ino-audit po ba yung algorithm? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ma'am Tagiling.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In terms of algorithm in social media platforms, the requirement under the Data Privacy Act is that for these controllers of data to comply with the requirements such as to process only the information that is necessary for the purpose and to be transparent to the users or to the data subjects.
So sa madaling salita po, hindi po siya makokontrol.
Under the Data Privacy Act, yes po, wala pong ganong provision.
Sa ngayon, ano lang siya, freewheeling lang siya. Kung ano lang ang gustong ilabas nung algorithm, yun na yun.
Yes po, Mr.
Sa,
Chair.
sa panukalang batas, Mr. Chair, meron po silang nilahad na mga parameters doon. Can you comment on those? Dito sa panukalang batas po.
Yes, we note that the bill or the act on social media fairness and algorithmic transparency intends to regulate po yung automated decision making doon sa platform. So this is in line with some of the provisions under the Data Privacy Act wherein the platforms or the controllers of this data must comply with yes po, Mr. Chair, must comply with the requirements such as to be transparent and also to process only the data that is necessary. So dapat po hindi excessive yung processing.
Okay, salamat. Comsec, dapat siguro yung Meta nandito eh. Kasi naimbita ba natin yung Meta?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the
Anong-
committee sent an invitation to Meta and they
Anong sabi ng
also
Meta?
submitted an excuse letter. But,
Nung 19th Congress pa yan, excuse ng excuse ha.
sir,
Oh,
they submitted an excuse letter.
magi-request na ako ng subpoena niyan. Kasi hindi na tayo pinapansin. Thank you, ma'am. Okay lang, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay.
we can,
Ato,
Mr. Chair, we can furnish the members of the committee a copy of their excuse letter also.
yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Attorney Michelle B. Valdez ng NBI. Ito, nako ma'am. Kanina, parang nalagpasan kita. Maraming tanong po kung bakit hindi ka kaagad ma-take down. Yun din po ang posisyon ba ng NBI?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, and to Honorable Senator Rodante Marcoleta. Good afternoon, sir, and to everyone present here. Good afternoon po. With regard to the immediate takedown of this fake news article, sir, and unfortunately, sir, we share the same challenges being experienced by our friends from the PNP, sir. We also share the same limitations, sir, as all of our requests from our platform or service providers also just limit to a specific few types of crimes that they immediately act to, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes,
Yun lang po ang gusto namin maliwanagan. May position, ano po kayo, mabasahin yung position paper niya?
Sir, our apologies, but our position paper is still with our legal service.
Pero kayo po ba'y sumusuporta dito sa
We
inabot po ng ating talakayan? Yung tatlong panukala po ba sinusuportahan po ninyo?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the NBI fully supports, sir, the passage of this bill, sir, and that if I may, sir, the NBI believes that a modern anti-disinformation law is necessary to protect the Philippines from coordinated malicious campaigns, deepfake propaganda, foreign interference, and other forms of sophisticated information warfare. Again, sir, we fully support, sir, the passage of these bills. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, meron po mga nakalagay doon na parusa. Okay po ba sa inyo yung mga parusang nilagay namin doon? O kulang ba yon?
Again, sir, it is stated in our position paper which will be submitted to the Honorable Committee, sir,
Okay
once signed by our directors.
Sige po, marami pong salamat. Opo.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, ma'am Sir, isa na po yung posisyon niyo po, ano? Salamat po. Sir Abantaw. Sir, salamat po. Ma'am, Miss Gemma Mendoza ng Rappler, ma'am. Meron po kayong position paper?
I have a
Opo,
few points
pakilahad na
that
lang po.
I can raise here. So earlier we just reviewed quickly yung mga proposals. We are commending the Senate for coming up with proposals that have evolved. Actually, we saw that it seems to have evolved from previous versions of these measures that from measures that were previously suggested in this body. We just have a few suggestions. One here is in relation to government bodies that are going to be given oversight powers. This can be a concern because the way the information ecosystem works, it's very important that there's plurality, and therefore it is very important that there is no legislated official arbiter of truth. So this is something that was communicated also to us by members of our coalition, the Facts First PH coalition. So the policy must explicitly avoid creating or appointing a single government body that will make content substantive decisions. This is to prevent censorship and overreach. Another thing that we are pushing for really, and we hope this will answer some of the concerns that were raised earlier here, it's really important that we push for platform accountability and transparency. And the reason is precisely because of what were raised here earlier. At the end of the day, we're talking of volume here. We're talking of scale. This is something that fact-checking alone, we understand, cannot solve. And it's very important that there is that we look at who is actually benefiting from the disinformation, from the fraudulent content that is going out there, and who is monetizing them. So publishers like Rappler, and there are other publishers here, media organizations, we are accountable for content we publish. And we have faced cases in relation to those. My principal still faces a case with the Supreme Court, which we are responding to. Right. But the thing is, platforms are not considered publishers right now. So they're covered by a law in the US, which is not, that does not apply to our jurisdiction technically. In the US, there's Section 230 of the US Communications Decency Act, which treats them technically as utilities. And because of that, they're not seen as publishers. But if platforms are to be held accountable, they need to be considered similar to publishers, and maybe not for specific content, but for things that they amplify. And why is that? Because the act of selecting what content is actually circulated, that's an editorial decision-making process. So in the case of Rappler, in the case of content that we publish, our editors make that decision daily. So that's the reason why we really make sure we are checking what we are publishing before we publish that. And when we make mistakes, we correct that transparently. We publish a correction. We tell our audience that we made mistakes. So this is very important. And it must be noted here that content is monetized. So you cannot, and nobody should actually be allowed to profit from disinformation, from lies, from scams. What else is needed? Very important here to ensure that this is enforced is mechanisms for audit. And it cannot just be one auditor. It needs to be, there needs to be a mechanism for data sharing so that the different bodies here can independently audit what is being amplified. So right now, that is not possible. What else? When there are takedowns, it is important that the digital or evidence, which is actually potentially is fraudulent, for potentially fraudulent content that is preserved. And right now, there is no mechanism for that, for the preservation of digital evidence to our knowledge. With AI, it is very important that there is automated labeling of synthetic content now. And I know that this is very difficult, but again, platforms are monetizing this content, and we don't actually have agency now to really choose like what we see on social media. The good senator, for instance, the good Senator Marcoleta, for instance, mentioned that I want to have a choice, right? But even if I choose content I subscribe to on social media, it doesn't mean I have a choice on what appears on my feed now. Right now, what happens is that most algorithms are dictated by what is by what could trigger the most number of views. And there's suggested for you algorithms where you don't actually have agency on what you see. So it's very important that legislations actually penalize profiting off fraudulent content, or at the very least, like make sure that platforms are not monetizing on fraudulent content. There's been a story about this recently. So one other thing to take note of po is newsrooms are actually losing from platforms. So they're getting bulk of advertising revenue right now. News organizations are losing out on advertising revenue because that's being cornered by the main platforms now. One way to actually, even out the game, the playing field, is by adopting something that the state of Utah adopted. It's called the Digital Choices Act, which allows for data portability. So if users are given the choice on where to bring their own networks, for instance, data about their own networks, then they might be able to choose where to go, where they think it is safer for them, where they're protected, their rights are protected. So that's not yet possible right now. One other thing to consider in relation to the punitive measures for troll farms, I'm particularly concerned about the higher penalty for media personalities, influencers, and bloggers, because everybody now is a micro-influencer. And at the end of the day, even the micro-influencers have that capability to be amplified by the platforms. Yun lang po. Salamat po.
Opo ma'am, mapakaganda po ng inyong mungkahi. Yung iba sana makakasagot yung Meta, pero ma'am ha, oo, pakisabihan. Tapos ang gusto lang naman po namin kasi yung accountability talaga. Kung hindi natin talaga, ang dami-daming troll, tapos ang dami-daming hindi gumagamit ng pangalan, ang dami-daming account, hindi po natin talaga malaman eh. Meron nga po kami pinaimbestigahan din sa NBI dati, 2000, kailan pa yun? 2016. Hanggang ngayon wala po kasi kailangan pa ng coordination sa mga bansang sinabi. Sa Amerika, Singapore, yung mga ganun po. Ang hirap hanapin. Pero ma'am, maraming salamat po sa inyong mungkahi. Opo. Sa susunod po, aasahan po natin nandyan ng Meta. Opo. Okay, Sir Attorney Ives Gonzalez ng TikTok. Sir.
Mr. Chair, Senator Marcoleta, magandang hapon po. I'm Yves Gonzalez from TikTok's public policy team covering the Philippines. TikTok empowers Filipinos to express themselves freely and authentically as we work to ensure a safe and positive environment for our community. TikTok has tens of thousands of people globally who work alongside innovative technology to keep the platform safe. Through ongoing advancements in TikTok's moderation technology, we continue to see improvements in how we proactively detect violative content and restrict it at scale. In the second quarter of 2025, more than 99% of the violative content TikTok removed was taken down before someone reported it, and more than 90% was removed before it got a single view. In a global community, it is natural for people to have different opinions, and TikTok welcomes the respectful expression of different viewpoints. We work hard to ensure that anyone can share their voice without the fear of being degraded or bullied, within the boundaries of TikTok's community guidelines. TikTok's community guidelines prohibit inaccurate, misleading, or false content that may cause significant harm to individuals or society, regardless of the poster's intent. This includes not only physical harm, but also societal harm, such as the undermining of trust in elections or public health initiatives. TikTok protects our community from harmful misinformation, partners with experts, including the government, to respond to evolving threats to the information ecosystem, and empowers our community with authoritative information, investing in digital literacy education to help get ahead of the problems at scale. In 2025 alone, we've partnered and worked closely with the COMELEC on the 2025 midterm elections, the Department of Migrant Workers on fighting recruitment scams, the Securities and Exchange Commission on preventing investment and financial frauds, the Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center on detecting new types of frauds arising, acknowledging that these agencies have expertise on their specific domain areas. This November, we worked with the Department of Education on rolling out TikTok Galing, our first digital safety and media information literacy program in the Philippines. Together with the National Educators Academy of the Philippines and the University of the Philippines Diliman Department of Journalism, we trained 100 senior high school teachers in digital safety and MIL skills. We firmly believe that combating misinformation requires a whole of society approach, and we remain committed to working with all our stakeholders in keeping our platform safe, secure, and positive. Additionally, authenticity is the foundation of our community at TikTok, and we strive to foster an environment where genuine interactions and content thrives. As part of this effort, we continuously work to detect and disrupt covert influence operations that attempt to establish themselves on TikTok and undermine the integrity of our platform. TikTok does not allow the use of accounts to engage in platform manipulation, such as using automation to register or operate accounts in bulk. TikTok also does not allow covert influence operations where networks of accounts work together to mislead people or our systems and try to strategically influence public discussion. In addition to our position paper, which we have submitted to the committee, we welcome today's conversation and we look forward to working closely with the committee to combat harmful misinformation, prevent coordinated influence operations, and enable a digitally responsible society. Maraming salamat po.
Senator Marcoleta.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask TikTok, does TikTok employ third-party